No! No, it can't be! Stay back! No! No! Stay back! No! No! No!
Of the Hound of the Baskervilles, there have been many statements, yet as I come from a direct line from Hugo Baskerville, and as I had the story from my own father, who had it from his, it is with a firm belief it has occurred as it is here set forth.
He's still not back, Lady Agatha. No sign from the upstairs windows either.
You should not have allowed him to go, Perkins.
It's not my place to stop Sir Henry if he wants to go out.
He doesn't know the more as we do. You know how treacherous it can be.
Indeed I do, ma'am. Only yesterday, another pony went under the mud at Grimpen.
A false step, there is sure death.
Anyhow, Barrymore's gone to fetch him back now.
Good. I'm expecting a Dr. Watson and Mr. Holmes shortly. See them in the minute they arrive.
I will, ma'am. Will you be wanting tea?
Yes, for 4. Sir Henry will be joining us, I trust.
There you are, Lady Agatha.
Oh.
Not late, am I?
Watson, you don't know how thankful I am for your presence. Where's Mr. Holmes?
Oh, he'll be along shortly.
I've arranged for tea.
I hope you won't take offense, but you do seem distraught. Not like you at all. There's always one thing I remember from our time together at the hospital. Nerves of steel and a disposition to match.
Thank you, Watson. I appreciate that. To tell you the truth, I have been on edge lately. Desperate, some might say.
Desperate.
When I heard you and Mr. Holmes were on holiday nearby, I wasted no time in getting in touch.
Not exactly a holiday. Holmes has always been fascinated by the grim charm of this locale, especially the traces to prehistoric people who lived here.
You mean the stone huts dotting the moor? They do give one a feeling of another time.
Downright creepy if you ask me.
I would not be at all surprised to see a skin-clad, hairy man climb right out from one of those huts.
Doing what, may I ask?
Fitting a flint-tipped arrow to the string of his bow, of course.
Oh, I'm not much for flights of fancy. Imagination is more on Holmes' line.
Oh, I'm looking forward to meeting him.
So you shall, Lady Agatha.
A very great pleasure for me, Mr. Holmes.
Kind of you to say so. I trust you enjoyed your walk around the excavations at Grippenmeyer. The south section, I believe.
How do you know I've been there?
You left your walking stick outside. The tip is coated with the reddish clay found only in that area.
You do live up to your reputation.
Judging by the consistency of the clay, you were there within the past 3 hours.
Bravo.
I would be cautious if you were to take your schnauzer there. They have a tendency to act impulsively. Miniature, I should imagine.
How do you know I even have a dog?
Teeth marks on the walking stick. Obviously, the dog's in the habit of carrying it from time to time. The jaw, as indicated by the space between the teeth marks, is not large. That and this small puff of silver-gray dog fur leads me to surmise a miniature schnauzer.
You really are an automaton, Holmes, a real calculating machine. One would even say inhuman at times.
You do take my breath away, Mr. Holmes.
Elementary.
You said you needed our help.
I do.
Does your request in some way concern itself with the recent demise of Sir Charles Baskerville?
It does.
London papers say it was a heart attack.
An elderly gentleman, if I recall correctly.
Over 80.
You suspect foul play.
What makes you say that?
You would hardly have called upon my services if the situation were not grave.
I've always considered myself a rational woman. Watson here can vouch for that.
Absolutely.
I've never taken the occult seriously.
The occult.
Perhaps this will explain.
Early 18th century, unless it's a forgery.
It is no forgery.
What is it?
I'm not unfamiliar with its contents. It purports to describe the origin of the curse of the Baskervilles.
Curse.
Come, Watson. Common knowledge.
Maybe common knowledge to you, but not to me.
The exact date is 1742. Sir Hugo Baskerville was a villain, a coarse man given to excesses of intemperance and rage. He came to love, if that word can be used with his sort, a village girl. He kidnapped her, locked her up in this house while he and his foul companions reveled below, night after night. Probably in this very room.
He has much to answer for.
One night, with the aid of the stout ivy outside her room, the girl made her escape.
Good for her.
There's more to it than that, Watson. Sir Hugo gave chase over the moor, his companions and Drake riding at his heels. He outdistanced them. They found him on the moor, by the two great stones.
You can see them from the window. They mark the door to some long-forgotten temple.
I've seen them. Frightening things in the moonlight.
When they came upon the spot, the village girl had expired, fallen dead from fear and fatigue.
And Sir Hugo?
He was at her side, also dead. But that wasn't what terrified the friends that found him.
What did?
Read it for yourself.
And plucking at his throat, there stood a terrible thing. A great black beast in the shape of a hound, yet unlike any hound any mortal eye had rested upon. And even as they looked, it tore the throat out of Sir Hugo Baskerville.
Many of the family have been unhappy in their deaths. Sudden, bloody, mysterious.
Surely you don't believe this mumbo-jumbo.
It's obviously the Baskerville that wrote this account did. I counsel you by way of caution to forbear from entering the moor in those dark hours when the powers of evil are exalted.
Powers of evil indeed, it's a fairy tale.
Sir Charles believed in the curse.
As I recall, he was only in residence for a few years.
That is correct.
Who looked after Baskerville Hall?
The Barrymores, a married couple. He acts as butler and she as housekeeper.
How long have they been in service here?
Oh, quite a while. And it was Barrymore who found the body. It was Sir Charles's habit to take a night each walk before retiring.
But never onto the moor.
Never.
Because of the silly legend.
Watson, please, do continue, Lady Agatha.
The night of his death, he went out as usual. He never returned.
No sign of violence on the body?
None.
Who performed the police autopsy?
I did.
And the coroner's jury accepted the medical evidence?
There was no reason not to.
Lady Agatha, it's not what you're saying that I find of interest, but rather what you're not saying.
If you weren't a private investigator, Mr. Holmes, I would suspect you of being psychic.
Why not come directly to the point?
I believe that Sir Charles was frightened to death.
Proof?
Over the past few months, it has become increasingly clear to me that Sir Charles's nervous system has been strained to the breaking point.
I asked for proof. Facts.
The expression on his face was one of pure terror.
Easily explained by a muscle spasm.
There was one false statement made by Barrymore at the inquest.
Oh?
He said there were no tracks on the ground around the body.
You said a false statement.
Perhaps Barrymore did not see what I saw.
Which was?
My motive for withholding it from the coroner's inquiry was that a person of science shrinks from placing oneself in a position seemingly to endorse a popular superstition.
In other words, you did see footprints.
Yes. They were a distance off, but they were fresh.
Why
clear.
conceal the fact?
I have already explained my motive.
The footprints, were they a man's or a woman's?
They were the footprints of a gigantic hound.
Beg pardon, Lady Agatha. It's Sir Henry. I saw him from upstairs. He's cutting across the moor now.
Oh, thank heaven.
You're the housekeeper, I take it.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Barrymore.
Now, how long have you been in service here at Baskerville Hall?
It's quite all right, Mrs. Barrymore. This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I've been in service here most of my life.
Then you know them all.
I grew up on the moor, Mr. Holmes.
Mrs. Barrymore and her husband know more of Baskerville Hall than anyone in the county.
If you have no other questions, sir, I'll see to my duties.
I have no other questions at this time. Remarkable woman. Reminds me of Amy Small, the notable axe murderess of Charing Cross.
Ah, Lady Agatha. I see you finally caught him in your net.
Henry, you mustn't wander the countryside, not until you know more of the place.
Oh, nonsense. I stuck to the pass, and the lighting was excellent. I was off visiting Kathy.
I sent Barrymore to go look for you.
It's a pleasure for me, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, thank you, but I'm not Holmes. John Watson, MD, former colleague of Lady Agatha's.
Ah, you'll forgive me.
I take it from the timbre of your accent that you've spent some time in America, Sir Henry.
The States and Canada. I'd only recently returned. If it had not been for the death of my uncle, I'd still be there.
Surely you don't believe all the balderdash Lady Agatha's been spouting. I beg your pardon, my dear.
Watson has never been known for an abundance of tact. Do you share Lady Agatha's doubts about your uncle's death?
I haven't quite made up my mind.
Show him the letter.
Letter?
This arrived one morning at my London hotel.
Words cut from the London Times and gummed to the paper.
Old-fashioned gambit, eh, Holmes?
Arsenic's old-fashioned too, Watson, but it does the trick.
How do you know it's from the Times?
Times print is entirely distinctive. This could be nothing else. As you value your life, leave Baskerville Hall. Keep away from the moor.
Well, there's nothing supernatural about that.
It might have been sent by someone who believed that Sir Charles's death was unearthly.
Who?
Someone tried to keep Sir Henry from Baskerville Hall. No envelope, no stamp.
It was received tucked under the door of my hotel room.
You intend to remain in residence here, Sir Henry.
No man on earth or devil in hell can prevent me from residing within my own residency.
I take that as a final answer.
Absolutely.
Then you did well to call upon my services, Lady Agatha. May I keep this?
Of course.
Was there anything found near the body?
The stub of Sir Charles's cigar. 2 stubs, actually, and a great deal of cigar ash.
Curious. There's no other claimant on the estate, I presume.
There were 3 brothers. Sir Charles was the elder. The second died young.
That was my father.
And the third?
Roger Baskerville, a black sheep. Fled to Central America and died there of tropical fever.
Supposing anything were to happen to our young friend here, you'll forgive the unpleasant hypothesis, who would then inherit?
Since Roger died unmarried, the estate would descend to James Desmond.
A distant cousin.
Is there any other kind?
Watson, please.
He's a clergyman of the village of Tracy Coombs.
Quite close, actually.
Just a short drive.
Who profited by Sir Charles's will?
There were many insignificant sums left to individuals and a great deal of charities.
He was a very generous man.
Yes, yes.
The Barrymores each received £5,000.
He was generous.
Did they know they would receive this sum?
Sir Charles was fond of talking of the provisions of his will.
Unwise.
I hope you do not suspect everyone who profited. After all, Sir Charles left me 10,000.
Sorry.
You will take the case, Mr. Holmes? You will take the case?
We've been counting on you, Mr. Holmes.
I'm due in Bristol sometime tomorrow, and then I must spend a few days in London.
If it's a matter of money.
My professional charges are on a fixed scale. I do not vary them except when I remit them altogether.
Surely we can let other matters wait.
You know my methods, Watson. I will do my best to settle my prior obligations as quickly as possible. In the meantime, I shall leave Watson here to look after you, Sir Henry.
Whatever you think is best.
Please follow his instruction. I trust him implicitly. On one hand, I must demand complete fidelity.
What is it?
You must, under no circumstances, enter the moor at night. I cannot impress the importance of this enough.
Then you do believe in the legend.
You understand, Watson? There's something in the air that disturbs me.
The air, Mr. Holmes? What's in the air?
Scent of murder, Sir Henry. Murder.
You wanted to see me, Dr. Watson.
Barrymore. Yes. I'm not quite sure what I heard.
Sir?
Well, last night, close to midnight, did you hear the sound of a woman sobbing?
I did not. Perhaps it was the wind. The wind racing on the moor can make all sorts of strange noises.
It was most certainly in the house. I thought it could have been Mrs. Perkins.
She lives with her family over on Grimpy Mile Road.
Could it have been your wife?
We share the same room, Doctor. If my wife were crying, I would have known.
Maybe you're right. Wind racing on the moor.
I'll be going into the village later this afternoon, Dr. Watson. Should I be getting you anything?
No, thank you. I'll be going in myself.
Very good, sir.
Oh, one minute, Barrymore.
Sir?
You've been in service here for quite some time, haven't you?
My father was the caretaker. My family has been looking over the hall for 4 generations.
So you know the inhabitants of the moor.
I do.
I see clearly marked here Lady Agatha's cottage and Baskerville Hall. Who lives up here, northeast of the Great Rocks?
That would be Mr. Franklin's house.
Old cleric with a beard.
You've met him then, Dr. Watson.
Ran into him at a post office. A disagreeable sort.
His passion is for British law.
Sues people, they tell me.
He spent a considerable fortune in litigation. He fights for the mere pleasure of fighting. He'll take up either side of the question, as long as he can have his day in court.
I know the sort. Ah, and who lives here?
Mr. Stapleton and his sister.
Sir Henry's friend. What's she like?
Quite lively.
And her brother?
I've only met him on one occasion, on the moor, chasing butterflies.
Butterflies?
Butterflies.
Okay, well, so what we've got here is Lady Agatha's cottage, Mr. Franklin, and the Stapletons.
There are other cottages on the moor. They're in bad repair, though. Quite unlivable.
If you don't mind me saying so, Barrymore, things around here are quite backwards.
Sir Charles was doing his best to remedy the situation. That's why his death was such a loss.
Mr. Franklin lives alone.
He does now.
No family.
He has a daughter.
What's her name?
That would be Sir Henry.
No, Mr. Franklin's daughter, you were saying?
Oh, Miss Stapleton is with him.
Never mind Miss Stapleton. What about Mr. Franklin's daughter?
Her name was Laura.
Why are you making such a mystery out of this? What's her name?
Never mind the flowers. I want a bit of lunch.
Please tell me more.
Oh, pardon me, Doctor.
You sure look like you've been enjoying yourself.
Kathy was taking me on a tour of the old huts. Turns out the moor is riddled with old mine shafts. I didn't know that. What is it?
I wonder if I might have a word with you, Sir Henry.
Certainly. What is it?
I'll go introduce myself to your young friend.
We won't be long. Well?
My wife and I, Sir Henry, will be happy to stay with you until you've made fresh arrangements.
What is that supposed to mean?
Under the new conditions, this house will require considerable staff.
I wish I understood what you were driving at. What new conditions?
I only meant that Sir Charles led a retired life, and we were able to look after his wants. You, naturally, would be wishing to have more company, and so you will be needing changes in your household.
I am quite comfortable with you and your wife. Isn't Perkins of any help?
Perkins is a village girl, sir. Not terribly bright. Not accustomed to service, so fewer these days.
So, what you're saying is that you and your wife wish to leave?
Only when it is convenient for you, sir.
Well, this is bad news. I hate to start my life out here by breaking an old family connection.
My wife and I were quite attached to Sir Charles. His death gave us quite a shock.
It didn't exactly give me a sense of security either, Barrymore.
Yes, sir, but we fear we will never again be easy in our minds at Baskerville Hall.
Well, what do you intend to do?
We shall establish ourselves in some business elsewhere. Sir Charles' generosity has given us the means to do so.
I won't try to stop you. We'll talk about this later.
Yes, sir.
Is it safe?
Barrymore's left, if that's what you mean.
Come along, Doctor, the coast is clear. We ought to put these in water.
I'll ring for Perkins.
They don't last long. It's a pity.
Yes, it is. The moor needs more color.
Aren't these lovely, Doctor?
They are when you hold them, my dear.
Did you hear that, Henry? The doctor knows how to dispense compliments as well as pills.
I was trying to find out more about old Franklin's daughter from Barrymore. He pointedly avoided the subject.
He's not one for gossip. And the weirdest thing happened. He told me he wants to leave.
What?
That's what he tells me.
I thought the Barrymores came with the wallpaper.
So did I.
One could hardly blame them. The sense of isolation doesn't trouble you?
Nothing troubles Kathy.
That's not true, especially when the mist is thick. It frightens me.
It's such an odd place to find such a young, vital woman in this corner of England.
I quite agree.
It wasn't exactly by choice. My brother and I had school in the North Country, and I'm afraid the fates were against us.
How so?
A serious epidemic broke out in the school. 2 of the lads never recovered.
Bad luck indeed.
Our capital was used up, and Jack was devastated. He still hasn't recovered since. Yet the moor is perfect for him.
Why?
He has an added interest in botany and zoology. He keeps his mind occupied, and expenses are minimal. We have our books, we have our studies, and we have interesting neighbors.
Put these in water, will you, Perkins?
Yes, sir.
No, just bring a vase, I'll arrange it myself.
Yes, miss. It's been seen again, Doctor.
What?
The Hound.
Go along, Perkins. We'll talk later.
Yes, sir.
Wait!
I can handle this myself, Sir Henry.
There is no sense in trying to protect my sensibilities, Doctor. What do you mean, the Hound?
It's only Dr. Watson asked me to report anything I heard in the village.
Well, what did you hear?
It's not what I heard, Sir Henry. It's what Mr. Blake saw and heard.
Blake?
The greengrocer. The man's adult.
Well, what did he see and hear?
He was on his bicycle, and he heard a long, low moan sweep over the moor.
I've heard it once or twice myself.
What?
The bogs make odd noises. It's the mud settling or the water rising or something.
That's not what Mr. Blake said.
My very own guess would be a bittern booming.
Good gracious, what's that?
It's a very rare bird, practically extinct in England, but all things are possible on the moor. I wouldn't be at all surprised if whatever Mr. Blake heard was the cry of one of the last of its bitterns.
That'll be all, Perkins.
Yes, sir.
Seems the servants are all in something of a mood.
Back to Barrymore. Would you happen to know anything about old Franklin's daughter?
It's a rather sad situation. She had married an artist named Lyons who came sketching on the moor, proved to be a blackguard, and deserted her. Her father wanted nothing to do with her since she had married without his permission.
I don't know why he couldn't have told me as much.
When you've been here a while, you realize that these people are clannish and protective of one another.
If you'll excuse me, I'd like to have a word or two with Mrs. Barrymore.
I seem to have come upon an inheritance with a vengeance.
I wouldn't pay attention to the village chatter, they're a superstitious lot.
You know, the Hound is the pet story of my family.
That's a bad joke, Henry.
I've heard about the Hound ever since I was in the nursery. I never thought about taking it seriously.
You're not thinking of doing so now.
I don't know. This whole business with my uncle confuses me. I feel like the whole situation is boiling up in my head, and I can't quite make it clear yet.
There's a sane and rational explanation for everything that's been happening. Here, for you. I couldn't resist it.
It's a beauty.
I saw the watch in the jeweler's window, and there's a letter B engraved in the back.
You're too generous. You're never going to save money gifting gifts to me.
This is a special gift.
Then I must secure something extra special for you. When I first started to live here, I didn't think I'd find anyone on this desolate moor besides rustics and eccentrics.
I'm on the moor.
You're no rustic, and you're far from being an eccentric.
I'll thank you to keep your attentions from my sister, Sir Henry.
Jack, what is the matter with you?
I'll deal with you later.
Stop it!
You're behaving quite badly, Stapleton.
How I'm behaving is my own concern.
What is the matter with you?
Just because you're rich and you have a title, you think that you can do as you want.
I will not stay here and listen to you.
Rich and powerful. You're all the same.
Kathy!
Stay away from her.
It is of no concern of yours. I shall see her as often as she permits it.
And I'll see that she doesn't permit it.
Who do you think you are?
I won't warn you again. Stay away from Kathy.
And I'll beg you to stay away from Baskerville Hall!
What was all of that?
Stapleton, the man's a lunatic, came in here in a rage when he saw Kathy and me together. My feelings towards his sister are nothing for me to be ashamed of. He drove her away in tears. Why should he object to me?
Perhaps he's on the verge of some sort of breakdown. You know he hasn't been doing well.
He's likely to hurt Kathy.
Be careful.
I am not worried about Stapleton and his bad temper. Kathy!
Here's the water and vase, miss. Where's Miss Kathy, Dr. Watson?
Gone.
And the flowers?
On the sofa there.
I wasn't allowed to finish, sir. About Mr. Blake. He didn't only hear the hound,
Oh.
he saw it.
When?
Last night,
How did he describe it?
more like a great dark shape than anything else. Moving so fast, Mr. Blake feared for his own life.
If it were only a great dark shape, how could he have been sure of what he saw?
Because its eyes were full of fire, and it was breathing flames. Do you believe him, Dr. Watson?
I'm sorry, Perkins, but I do.
Why, sir?
Because I myself saw it last night on the moor.
The Hound of the Baskervilles.
No, Perkins. The Hound of Hell.
Good evening to you, Sir Hugo.
Dr. Watson, are you back yet? What's happened to the lights?
I'll put them on at once, Sir Henry.
So it's you, Barrymore.
Yes, sir.
What were you doing down here in the dark?
The dark, sir.
You have an annoying habit of repeating things.
Well, actually, the truth is, I'm afraid I fell asleep.
That is most unlike you.
I suffer from terrible headaches. I felt a bit faint. I thought if I rested for a moment, I'd feel better. When I awoke, the dark had settled in.
Right, if you say so. I was looking for the weekly journal.
My wife has it. Came in with yesterday's post.
I'd like to see it.
Immediately, sir.
Who's there? Who is it? Dr. Watson, is that you?
Read the journal, Sir Henry. Oh, why are the lights out?
Perkins,
Sir Henry, there's no need to jump at me.
Perkins, it's just you. I didn't mean to frighten you.
I thought you might like some more milk, so I brought a pitcher and a mug.
That's most thoughtful of you. Perkins, how is it you're still here?
The mist rolled in too fast, sir. I never crossed the moor on nights like this. I sleep in the little room at the far end of the west wing.
Have you done that recently?
Sir?
Have you stayed over in the past few weeks?
Once?
I wonder, Perkins, did you happen to hear anyone crying?
Crying? I don't think so. I'm a sound sleeper. Of course, on that end of the house, one might as well be in a tomb. The walls are that thick.
Tomb is exactly what this place feels like sometimes.
Would you like me to start a fire, sir?
I'll take care of it.
Very good, Sir Henry.
It's a miserable night out.
Did you walk back from the village?
I did.
I hope you carried a torch, Dr. Watson.
Oh, certainly not. I have excellent night sight. Comes from eating carrots. You should try it, Perkins.
Can't abide carrots, Dr. Watson. I don't like the sound of the crunch.
These villagers are everything Kathy Stapleton said they were. I mean, not liking the carrots crunch. Silly creature.
So, what's the news from Holmes?
Positively infuriating.
How so?
Every time I send word to London, I get no reply.
Surely he's back in London by now.
Let's hope so. If I don't get word soon, a holiday to London will do us both some good.
You mean a trip to London?
I can't just leave you here. You'd have to come with me.
I appreciate everything you're doing for me, Doctor, but I'm not quite ready for a London outing yet. Whatever it is that is terrifying the Baskerville Hall, I intend to stick it out.
Well, in that case, I remain here also.
I wonder, did you happen to see anyone outside?
Outside the house?
Yes.
Can't see a thing. Mist is thicker than guilt. Can't imagine my Lady Agatha favors this place.
Bit like Kathy and her brother. Lost almost everything in a bad investment a few years back.
I didn't know that. I just assumed that she wasn't comfortable with the rush.
Warm milk. Don't suppose you'd care for a mug?
Milk? No. No. Why did you ask what you did? About if I saw anyone outside the house?
I thought I heard something, and the window was open.
It appears to be closed now. Was there anyone else in the room with you?
Barrymore. It said he fell asleep. He was down here in the dark.
He's an odd one.
I'm inclined to agree. I don't quite know what he was doing down here, but I certainly don't think he was sleeping.
You know, he's evasive with my questions, and yet the Barrymores and Lady Agatha were the only witnesses the night of Sir Charles' murder. It seems as if Baskerville Hall is empty, and the Barrymores reside. They'll have a mighty fine home and nothing to do with it. You can come out where we can see you now, Barrymore. No need to eavesdrop.
Mrs. Barrymore, do you make it a habit of listening in on other people's conversations?
No, Sir Henry, I do not.
Do you care to explain your extraordinary behavior?
You're thinking ill of my husband.
So what if we are?
He's a loyal retainer, as I am. He would never do anything to harm you in any way, Sir Henry.
There's cold comfort in that. What do you have there?
I should have spoken out before, but it was long after the inquest that I'd found it. I've never breathed a word about it to anyone, not even to my husband. I wonder. May I sit down? I'm not feeling at my best. I know why Sir Charles was on the moor.
Well?
He was to meet a woman.
I don't believe it.
The letter came the morning of your uncle's death from the village of Tracy Coombs.
Why conceal the fact?
Only a few weeks ago, I was cleaning out Sir Charles's study. It hadn't been touched since his death. I found the ashes of a burned letter in the back of the grate. Most of it was charred to pieces, but one little slip, the end of the page, hung together.
Please, please, as you are a gentleman, burn this letter and be at the gate by 10 o'clock.
Well, how can we be sure that's even the same letter that arrived that morning?
There was a silver trim on the border of the envelope. The same trim as on the bottom of the notepaper Dr. Watson holds.
Well, what's the woman's name?
No name.
Only the initials LL.
I can't understand why you would wish to conceal the fact.
Well, sir, we were both of us devoted to Sir Charles, as well might be considering all that he'd done for us. To rake this up couldn't help her poor master, and it's well to go carefully when there's a lady in the case.
You thought that if you brought light to this information, you could somehow compromise Sir Charles' reputation.
I hope I've done the right thing at last.
You have.
If you have no more questions.
Later, perhaps.
Well?
I was thinking how the evil legacy of Sir Hugo hangs on. It would have been better if he'd never been born.
It's a little late for that. What do you make of this LL?
Laura Lyons!
Old Franklin's daughter, of course.
There's someone out there!
Outside the house?
Yes!
Sir Henry, no need for that. I've got a revolver.
No need for weaponry, gentlemen. Your intruder is an ally.
Holmes!
We thought you were in London!
Precisely what I wanted you to think. I think you'd be more comfortable suited, Watson, and I'd appreciate it if you point that in another direction.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've never been happy to see anyone in my life!
Where have you been?
On the moor,
Since when?
since the day Lady Agatha invited us for tea.
Then you've never left.
That is correct.
I thought you could have trusted me to keep your confidence.
My dear Watson, you have been invaluable to me in this as in many other cases. In your kindness, you might have put me out of some comfort or other, and an unnecessary risk would be run.
I still don't see the need for the deception.
My dear fellow, I know you share my love for all that is bizarre and outside the humdrum convention of everyday life. I trust you've kept notes, jotted everything down?
I have.
Splendid.
Still don't see the need.
If I had remained with you and Sir Henry, my point of view would have been the same as yours. My presence would have warned the menace to be on its guard. In one disguise or another, I have moved about freely.
Well, what did you learn on the moor?
Considerable.
That doesn't tell us much.
What is after me, Mr. Holmes? Human or supernatural? Flesh and blood or the devil?
For the time being, I will have to hold that question in abeyance.
Why do you avoid answering my questions?
In a modest way, I have combated evil. But to take on the father of evil himself would perhaps be too ambitious a task. Sir Henry, did you see anyone in this room earlier, in the dark?
Barrymore.
You mean Mrs. Barrymore, don't you?
No, I mean Barrymore.
Sir Henry, have you been made conscious of a presence in this house from time to time?
Yes,
There's
I
quite
have.
eerie quality. It's a perfectly natural reaction.
I think I can prove you wrong, Watson. Did Barrymore have a light with him?
I don't think he did.
Did you disturb him when you entered the room?
I'm sure I did.
Ah, the perfect hiding spot for the unimaginative mind taken unaware. It is a capital mistake, Sir Henry, to theorize before you have all the evidence. Eureka!
So, Barrymore had a light. What does that signify?
I expected better of you, Watson. Think.
Barrymore was searching for something. In the room. In the dark. He didn't want to be spotted.
What he was searching for wasn't in here. It was out there, on the moor. Watson, the lights. Come close, Sir Henry, and I shall prove to you that my time on the moor was put to good use. Keep your eyes focused on that nearby cluster of rocks.
What are you doing?
I think that should be fairly obvious.
He's signaling someone.
Who?
That is only one part of the puzzle.
Look! Out there! A light!
They're not answering my signal.
That is it! I have had it! Who or whatever means to do me harm, I intend to put a stop to.
Sir Henry, that is precisely what they wish you to do. You must remember my warning. Never enter the moor at night.
What's out there, Mr. Holmes? You know, don't you?
There was more evil surrounding Baskerville Hall than I have ever encountered before.
Listen.
It can't be!
I'm afraid it is. The horror that killed Sir Charles is prowling the moor once again.
If you'll come in here, my dear, and wait. I'll tell Mr. Holmes you're here.
You might also tell him that my time is as valuable as his. I would prefer to not be kept waiting.
I'll tell him.
I saw you coming by the cottage. I thought you might stop in.
I plan to on my way back.
You shouldn't take these old dirt roads. Made for nothing but pony carts.
I wouldn't do it at night.
You could skid into the mire.
You do worry about me, don't you?
Well, when you let me.
You must be on good terms with Sir Henry.
And what makes you think that?
The way you walk into his home.
The moor is free and easy about such things.
Nothing is easy on the moor, Jack.
Come to pay your respects to Sir Henry.
Why should I? I am no longer a neighbor of Baskerville Hall.
Then, why are you here?
Perhaps I could answer that question, Mr. Stapleton. I called Miss Lyons and asked her for this meeting. There was no need to trouble yourself. I planned to see you and Tracy Coombs.
I'll be spending some time with a friend. I thought I'd save you the trouble.
A friend here on the moor, you mean?
Lady Agatha.
My associate, Dr. Watson, is at a cottage now. I had no idea she was that social.
Perhaps I should have made an appointment.
Not at all. Your arrival is most opportune. Sorry I haven't taken you up on your invitation to view your insect collection, Stapleton, a situation I hope to remedy.
You'll find my collection quite special.
Stapleton and I went on the moor not long ago. He was in pursuit of a grizzled skipper butterfly.
Escaped my net.
Pity. Are you still waiting to see Sir Henry?
My sister and I, yes.
Might try the potting shed. He and Barrymore were there earlier.
Laura, will you see me before you leave?
Happy to.
I've only a few words to say to Sir Henry. I won't be long.
Old friends?
Mr. Stapleton has been exceedingly helpful. There's been a great deal of excitement in the village.
Oh?
The police have traced the dangerous convict to the moor. Apparently, he escaped from Princeton Prison some time ago.
That would be Selden, the Notting Hill murderer.
You're well informed, Mr. Holmes.
In some circles, there are considerable doubts as to his sanity.
Sane or insane, the farmers hereabout don't like it.
I understand they get £100 if they can give information.
The chance of £100 is a poor thing compared to the chance of having your throat cut. Surely, we are not to discuss a convict who may or may not be insane.
I understand you had the pleasure of knowing Sir Charles.
Yes.
And I had the pleasure of knowing your father.
I don't know what you're driving at, Mr. Holmes. There is nothing in common between my father and me. I owe him nothing, and his friends are not mine. If it were not for Sir Charles and some other kind hearts, I might have starved for all that my father cared.
Did you correspond with Sir Charles?
Why are you asking these
I
questions?
assure you, Miss Lyons, they are necessary.
I wrote to him once or twice to thank him for his kindness.
Kindness? Would you care to explain?
I've already explained as much. He contributed money so that I could set up a small shop in Tracy Coombs.
Have you the dates of those letters?
Dates? No.
Did you ever write to Sir Charles, asking him to meet you?
That's an odd question.
And it's one I intend to repeat. Did you ever write to Sir Charles, asking him to meet you?
No.
Not on the day of his death?
No!
Surely your memory deceives you. I could even quote a passage of your communication. It ran, "Please, please, as you are a gentleman, burn this letter, and be at the gate by 10 o'clock.
Then he did not do as I asked.
You do Sir Charles an injustice. He did burn the letter, most of it anyway.
All right, I wrote it. I wished for him to assist me further. I thought that if I had an interview, I could gain his help. So I asked him to meet me.
At an hour where the moor is dark and deserted.
The hour seemed unimportant.
You asked to meet him outside the house?
What does it matter? I never went.
Why?
A private matter. It concerns only me.
Why deny you wrote the letter?
Obvious, I should think. Gossip.
You admit you made an appointment with Sir Charles at the time and place he met his death.
I do.
Yet deny you kept the appointment.
Yes.
Is that all you wish to tell me?
Mr. Holmes, that is all I am going to tell you. I'll be waiting for Mr. Stapleton outside.
Remarkable woman. Not to the manner born, but giving an excellent invitation.
You're a bloodhound in the true sense of the word, Mr. Holmes.
There are 75 perfumes, which it is very important that a criminal expert be able to distinguish between. Miss Lyons favors none of them.
How did you find her?
I didn't. She found me. And I must say, she isn't quite what I expected.
What did you expect?
Someone less sure of herself.
Ah, Kathy. I saw you walking across the moor from my window.
It's Jack. Yes, I'm going to say he went looking for you.
Oops, I'm afraid I misdirected him to the potting shed.
Jack! He's on his way back now.
The shoe doesn't fit properly?
It fits, but there's only the one.
Where is its companion?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Should have returned long before this, Sir Henry.
You have something to say to me?
I do. It's rather personal.
Anything you can say to me, you may also say in front of Mr. Holmes.
My presence isn't required.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. And you'll come view my collection?
You can count on it.
My brother would like to apologize for his temper.
I'd prefer to speak for myself, Kathy.
I do not mean to speak for you, Jack.
Then don't. Sir Henry, you must understand. My sister is all I have for family, and the thought of losing her was just unimaginable. I suspected your motives, that you were simply using your title and your position just to impress her.
Nothing could have been further from the truth.
And I know that now.
I must have you know, Stapleton, I have every intent of marrying your sister. She's told you?
She has. And I promise, I will withdraw all opposition if you just promise me to wait 3 months until you're sure that marriage is truly what you both want. I've seen one unhappy marriage on the moor, and I've no desire to see another.
Kathy is no Laurel Lyons, and I am no idle painter of pastoral scenes.
So we're agreed? 3 months?
What must be, must be. 3 months.
I'll go find Laura.
Wonderful. I'll walk back myself.
I'll see to it that she gets home. I'm not quite sure I agree to the provision of 3 months, but if it will keep things easy with your brother, I won't protest.
I knew he'd come around.
Kathy, have you always been afraid of your brother?
Yes, I think I have.
He's never harmed you in any way, has he?
I was surprised Van Laura was here.
So was Mr. Holmes, I think.
Mrs. Barrymore said you're looking for me, sir.
Ah, I can't find my other shoe.
Aren't these the shoes you gave me yesterday for polish?
Yes. Barrymore put them in my room last night, but when I went to go put them on just now, I could only find the one.
I can't imagine where the other one is, sir.
My favorite pair.
I'll turn the place upside down.
No need. Just see if you can locate the mate.
I will, sir. Will you be staying for tea, miss?
If Sir Henry has no objection.
You'll be seeing a great deal of Miss Stapleton around Baskerville Hall in the coming weeks, Perkins.
They'll be nice, sir. Especially the Barrymores leave. I wouldn't like feeling women here. I scare easily.
Are they really leaving?
Yes, but not immediately. Kathy, you do understand the danger. The curse of the Baskervilles? Oh, I pretend everything is perfectly normal and act accordingly, but deep down, I know that there's a sword hanging above my head, ready to fall at any moment.
Henry, whatever this thing is, we'll defeat it together. Mr. Holmes promised that no harm will come your way. You've got to believe that.
I try.
I'll see if I can arrange a nice bouquet for the tray. The wildflower's almost done for this time of year.
Don't be long.
I beg your pardon, Miss Stapleton.
No harm done.
I've taken an inventory of everything in the potting shed. You'll be needing some new tools.
You haven't been entirely honest with me, have you, Barrymore?
About the inventory?
No.
I'm afraid I don't understand, Sir Henry.
Your family has lived with my family under this roof for generations. And yet, here I find you, in some dark plot against me.
I assure you, Sir Henry, you have no reason to think such a thing.
Haven't I?
Beg pardon, Sir Henry. Perkins says there's something amiss with one of your shoes. What's wrong?
Sir Henry believes I engage in some dark plot against him.
I will not be fooled with your tricks with the lantern at the window! Sit down, Mrs. Barrymore. You look unwell.
No, sir. You misunderstand. No plot against you.
Mr. Holmes! Mr. Holmes!
That is the end of it. You can pack our things. We are leaving now.
I've brought us to this. It's my doing, Sir Henry. All mine. My husband has done nothing except for my sake and because I asked him.
What is that supposed to mean?
My wife is speaking the truth, sir. If there was a plot, it was not against you.
My unhappy brother is starving on the moor.
We couldn't let him perish.
You mean to tell me that your brother is the
Escaped convict, sir.
Sir Henry, I expressly asked you to leave this matter to me. I told you there is nothing to fear from the light on the moor.
Mr. Holmes, it is about time I took a hand in all of this.
That would be a most unwise maneuver.
Selden is my younger brother. We humored him when he was a lad and gave him his own way in everything. When he grew older, he fell in with a bad lot. The devil was in him. From crime to crime, he sank lower and lower.
He's quite mad.
Don't say that.
Mr.
Yeah.
Holmes.
He came here for help.
Mr. Holmes, haven't you overstepped yourself a bit? Selden is a wanted criminal. Dangerous.
I assure you, Sir Henry, Selden is dangerous to nobody but himself. His mind most certainly is deranged, but in a childlike manner. He's not the same man as when he murdered. My guess would be drug damage. I've seen cases like this before. Selden will end his days as nothing more than a vegetable. Passive, frightened, disoriented. You didn't worry, Mrs. Barrymore. If Selden is in danger of apprehension, I have instructed him to come immediately to Baskerville Hall.
You've talked to him then?
He's been on the moor for some weeks now, and he's proved invaluable to me, a fact I shall relate to the authorities.
What is it, Perkins?
I found this under the door, sir. In the kitchen. I heard someone outside, but when I looked, there was no one there.
Let me have it.
One moment, Sir Henry. Are you in the custom of receiving mail in this manner?
Under the kitchen door? Certainly not.
Perkins, let me see it. Curious.
What is it?
Unless I'm mistaken, this is the same stationery used in your London warning.
What's the message?
If you value your life, leave Baskerville Hall tonight. There will be no further warning.
With the words taken from the Times and pasted on the paper?
Not this time. It's handwritten and signed.
Signed?
Signed, Lady Agatha Mortimer.
Oh my!
What? Interesting.
We'll soon discover the mystery, Lady Agatha.
I trust so. It's a nuisance to be called away at this hour.
There you are, Holmes.
I see Barrymore reached you. Good of you to come, Lady Agatha.
He said it was urgent.
It is.
Dash it, Holmes. We haven't sat down for dinner yet.
My apologies.
I'm famished.
You make too much of food, Watson. You should follow my example. I am perfectly content with a roast beef sandwich and a cryptogram.
Well, unfortunately, I can't eat cryptograms. And it wasn't a roast beef sandwich, it was a steak and kidney pie. My favorite. Lady Agatha was expecting company. I would have favored it.
Laura Lyons?
She hadn't arrived by the time Barrymore called.
Odd. She left Baskerville Hall some hours ago.
Not alone. They suspect that escaped convict is still on the moor.
Stapleton was with her.
He knows the moor as well as anybody.
No one knows the moor as well as you do, Lady Agatha.
You've discovered something of importance, haven't you, Mr. Holmes? That's why you sent Barrymore.
Holmes, I don't think this holiday to this corner of England was perchance. I don't think you're interested in those smelly old huts at all. You were only interested in Baskerville Hall.
Watson, if you'd be so kind.
Outrageous!
I take you to disown authorship?
If you value your life, leave Baskerville Hall tonight. There'll be no further warning. Why, whoever signed my name hasn't the faintest idea of my handwriting style.
I suspected as much. Are you familiar with your guest's handwriting?
Watson here has a bold hand.
I wasn't referring to Dr. Watson. I meant Laura Lyons.
I'm quite familiar with her penmanship. Laura did not write this.
Then why would anyone sign Lady Agatha but not even attempt a good forgery?
To delay investigation, perhaps. I don't think this signature is important. The author was intent in pressing the warning. The net draws tighter.
Well, it settles one issue.
Which is?
There's no supernatural force behind this ugly business.
Then how do you account for the beast you described to me? Dripping with a bluish flame, eyes ringed with fire.
I'd forgotten about it.
I haven't.
The Moor often plays tricks, Dr. Watson. You saw something you mistook for the spectre.
You should changed your tune. I know what I saw.
In that case, I were to surmise that your beast can also wield pen and ink.
You're being rude, Holmes.
No need to take offense.
Positively rude.
I take it you have suspicions about Laura.
Suspicions about many things. I'm aware she was in correspondence with Sir Charles.
No.
I'm aware that Barrymore was in London at the exact time Sir Henry received his first warning.
Barrymore never leaves the Moor.
If I'm mistaken, I have it on authority that he left Baskerville Hall during Sir Henry's London stay.
What authority?
A gentleman on the moor.
You'll be casting your doubts on me next, Mr. Holmes. You don't think I had a hand in this?
You did leave out one extremely revealing fact when you first called upon my services.
I told you everything.
Everything?
I'm not in the habit of
You
lying.
neglected to mention one salient point. You are the executrix of Sir Charles's estate.
What if I am?
In the event any misfortune should befall Sir Henry, who has yet to make a will, you would be in a most enviable situation.
You go too far, Holmes.
On the contrary, I don't go far enough.
Not telling you was an oversight on my part, nothing more.
Indubitably.
You know of my bad financial situation.
Thanks to Watson here.
Oh, we always did have a rather large mouth.
I protest.
Quiet!
Mr. Holmes, have you seen Sir Henry? Shh.
Listen.
What about Sir Henry?
He's not in his room.
Where could he have gone to?
Watson, come quickly! The Hound! We may be too late!
What is it? What's wrong?
Get Barrymore.
Barrymore.
Stop asking so many questions. Do as you're told and be quick about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Perkins whimpered something about the Hound and Sir Henry. What are you doing?
That's not important now. Where's your husband? We need him.
Perkins is fetching him. Where are Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson?
They've gone out onto the moor.
They're not going to do him any harm. Mr. Holmes promised to protect him.
Who are you talking about?
He's like a child now. He wouldn't hurt anyone.
They'll need your help, Barrymore. Dr. Watson and Mr. Holmes, they've gone after Sir Henry. He's out there.
Sir Henry never goes onto the moor at night.
Don't waste time.
They mustn't harm him.
Why should they want to harm Sir Henry? You don't talk sense, woman.
Not Sir Henry, my brother. He's been out there for weeks.
Your brother?
Selden, the Notting Hill murderer.
The escaped convict that's at the countryside, terrified.
Yes.
You mean to tell me you've known he's been out there this whole time and you've said nothing?
Mr. Holmes said he would help him.
It's not your brother they went after. It's the Hound.
This place is cursed. I never wanted to believe that, but it's true.
Stop talking rubbish. I better go see if they have any need of me.
No, don't leave me.
I'll get a sedative for you.
Here's a lantern.
That will be of no use.
Sir Henry?
Dead.
Impossible.
If it were only true. I never heard screams like that from any man or woman. The beast had bitten and clawed and chewed.
Dr. Watson, please.
You'll have to excuse my nerves. The supernatural is quite beyond me.
What could have possessed Sir Henry to go on the moor after all the warning?
I don't know, but the beast was too swift.
Uncle and nephew. Murdered.
Both driven to the end by the beast. Won't you go along, Barrymore? Give him a hand. I'll be along in a minute.
Better bring the body in here.
That won't be necessary.
There can be no mistake.
There is no mistake.
poor Sir Henry.
I'm afraid your sympathy is misplaced. You'll have to prepare yourself for another shock.
How do you mean, sir?
In his distress, Watson neglected to wait for my complete report. It's true, the man is dead, but he's a man with a beard.
Beard?
I regret having to bring you this information.
My brother, isn't it?
Yes.
Why would the Hound attack Selden?
The Hound attacked his scent. Selden was wearing one of Sir Henry's hunting jackets.
I can explain. A woman from the church committee asked if we might have anything to donate to the bazaar. Sir Henry gave some old clothes, among other things.
They were warm and comfortable. I thought, why should others have them when my brother was cold and in rags on the moor?
There's no need to reproach yourself.
Perhaps it's for the best. I only wish he didn't die so horribly.
Perkins found me, said I was wanted.
You Ben!
He feared for your life!
You promised to never go onto the moor at night.
I was in the potting shed. Any prohibition against that, Mr. Holmes?
None.
Why do you all look so strange?
It's my wife's brother, sir. Selden.
Attacked by the beast.
So then, the curse doesn't only pertain to the Baskervilles.
I wish that were true.
What connection could Selden possibly have to me?
He was wearing your hunting jacket, sir.
The one you donated to the church.
The Hound had your scent.
Scent? How could he get my scent in the first place?
When you deal with the supernatural, ordinary explanations are worthless.
I'm afraid I can't agree.
What choice have you?
An investigator deals in facts, not legend or rumors. This has not been a satisfactory case.
Can't you promise any hope?
I can promise you something far more startling than hope. By tomorrow, Sir Henry, either the curse of the Baskervilles will be broken,
Or?
someone in this room will be dead.
It makes me feel strange, writing all this down.
Well, one should always keep their affairs in order, Sir Henry.
No argument there. Only, I've never been concerned about a will before. My own will, that is.
You'll feel better for it.
Will I?
Count on it. Can't see why Holmes went and saw Lady Agatha this afternoon. Yesterday he practically accused her of being implicated.
At least we're done with that ghastly business with Selden.
You'll be dining with the Stapletons this evening?
Unless Holmes has some new unseen objections. Somehow, I feel this will be the prelude.
Trust Holmes.
I do. Intellectually. Emotionally. I'm as tight as a knot inside.
We are leaving now, sir.
Nothing I can do to change your minds?
I'm afraid not. I think it's best me and my wife started a new life elsewhere.
Goodbye, Barrymore. And best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, Mrs. Barrymore.
Sir Henry.
And you will write to me and let me know how things are going.
Yes, sir. We don't want to miss the train. Goodbye, Dr. Watson.
Goodbye. Luck to the both of you.
They'll be all right. They were done well by my uncle's will.
Oh, handsomely. I still don't trust Barrymore. You know, I didn't know there was a train at this hour.
Train? Train? What's a train got to matter? Forgive me. I'm tense.
I can believe it. And under all this strain, and Holmes is up in his room, smoking this foul-smelling tobacco. He told me this is a six-part case.
I'm very sorry to intrude like this. Mrs. Barrymore said I should come right in. I'm Mrs. Lyons, Mr. Franklin's daughter.
I've heard of you. This is Dr. Watson.
Ah, yes, Lady Agatha's comrade. She speaks highly of you.
I'm sorry we couldn't meet the other evening. Oh, won't you sit down?
I must see Mr. Holmes. It's important.
I'll get him right away.
Thank you.
You weren't afraid to cross the moor?
I understood they've captured the convict.
That is true.
You mean the storm?
I mean, the Hound.
It is not the other world that will hurt one, Sir Henry. It's the living.
I believe I overheard Holmes say you were from the village of Tracy Coombs.
I have a small shop.
I have a relative living there.
I've heard of no Baskervilles in the area.
No, Desmond. James Desmond. He's a clergyman of the church. I'm sorry. Is there anything I can get you? I fear I am understaffed at the moment. The maid leaves before dark, and the Barrymores have deserted.
I saw the suitcases in their grip.
Place won't be the same without them.
I want you to know, Sir Henry, that I had the utmost respect for your uncle. He was kind, generous, and most thoughtful. His death disturbed me.
I expected to see you earlier than this, Miss Lyons.
You knew I'd return?
I hoped you would.
You'll probably want privacy.
I think you'd best stay, Sir Henry. What Miss Lyons is about to reveal concerns you.
Me?
Your uncle, to be precise.
You anticipate?
I am a flawless judge of character, Miss Lyons. You did not impress me as the sort of female who could live comfortably with a serious lie.
What are you driving at?
It's true. I wrote the letter to Sir Charles.
On the instigation of another.
What other?
I know what you revealed in our earlier interview, and also what you withheld in connection with this matter. I regard this case as one of murder, and the evidence may not only implicate your friend Jack Stapleton, but his wife as well.
His wife?
His wife? What are you saying?
The person who has passed for his sister is really his wife.
I don't believe it.
Nor I. He is not a married man.
Kathy unwittingly revealed the ruse when she told Watson at the school that she and her brother ran to the North Country. I inquired, and the employee gave me this photograph. 4 years ago it was taken. I believe you'll recognize the couple, Mr. and Mrs. Stapleton. The employee has written the identification on the back.
Let me see that. It's true.
Stapleton asked you to write the letter to entice Sir Charles out of the house.
He promised to marry me once my problems were settled.
Now I know why Kathy lives in fear of her brother.
It's why he went into a jealous rage when he saw you and Kathy close together. He couldn't control the instincts of a jealous husband.
I swear to you, when I wrote the letter, I never dreamed of any harm to the old gentleman. He had been a good friend.
I presume the reason Stapleton gave was that Sir Charles could help with the legal expenses connected with your divorce.
Yes. Jack said he couldn't help because he himself was penniless.
After you sent the letter, he dissuaded you from keeping the appointment.
Yes.
Then you heard of nothing until you read of Sir Charles's death.
He said the death had been a mysterious one and that I should certainly be suspected if the facts were to come out. He frightened me into remaining silent.
I think, on the whole, you've had a fortunate escape. You had him in your power, and he knew it, and yet you are alive.
I could remain silent no longer.
The line between fear and love is often a thin one. As you have been honest with me, I shall be honest with you. You are still in danger.
He's likely to hurt Kathy.
Not if everything falls into place. Time is the essential element. Watson, you will escort Miss Lyons to Lady Agatha's cottage.
I can take care of myself.
You heard me, Watson.
Come along, my dear. You can trust my protection.
I was right, you know. Nothing's easy on the mole.
You must be really concerned for her safety.
Hang her safety. I merely want some guarantee she won't warn Stapleton.
We have to help Kathy.
You will do exactly as I instruct.
I'm ready.
We'll walk to Stapleton Cottage, and you will enjoy your dinner.
And face Stapleton? I don't think I'm ready for that.
It's precisely what you must do. You will divulge the path you take on your return. Clear?
No. Where will you be?
Nearby. Leave within the hour.
Well, Holmes! Holmes! Barrymore! Barrymore! Pull yourself together. They're all gone. Wait 1 hour. Of the origin of the Hound of the Baskervilles, there have been many statements. Known then, at the time of the Great Rebellion, the manor was held by Sir Hugo of that name.
Good evening, Henry.
Kathy!
Yes. Kathy. Sweet, endearing, innocent.
I told Holmes I was afraid for your life. What's going on? He knows you're married to Stapleton.
Does he? I'll have to deal with that in time.
You and Stapleton plotted all of this together?
Jack? Don't be a fool. He's weak. Never did a thing that I wasn't there right behind him, pushing, insisting. It was all my idea.
I don't understand.
He's the son of Roger Baskerville, the younger brother of Sir Charles, the one who fled to South America and supposedly died unmarried. Now, everything will be Jack's. Which means mine.
He's my cousin.
It's outside the front door. I waited till the house was empty. Till the mall was dark.
What is it?
You'll soon see. He stopped. I keep him that way. I've already released him.
No!
You only have one chance, Henry. Onto the mall. Run! 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 It's your only hope. I'll chase him if you can. Run!
No! 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 Stay back! Stay back! Stay away! No! Ah! Stay back!
That would be for the Hound, Mrs. Stapleton.
What have you done?
I suspect the police would have killed the doomed animal. I persuaded the wardens and others searching for Selden to remain in the area for one more night.
Jack warned you, didn't he?
You weren't quite as sure of me as you thought.
You haven't won yet, Mr. Holmes. There's always Grim and Meyer.
Kathy!
You needn't worry, Sir Henry. Her melodramatic gesture is wasted. The house is completely surrounded.
How? Well, how did you know she wouldn't be at the cottages?
An able assist from Lady Agatha. She had followed Kathy to where the Hound was secreted away in an abandoned mine. Then, after it was dark, she followed Kathy not to her cottage, but to this house.
So there really is a hound.
An enormous dog, gigantic, but part mastiff, part Great Dane.
But the glow!
Phosphorus, your missing shoe would supply the scent.
And Stapleton really did try to save my life.
In his own clumsy fashion. Selden told me that Stapleton too was away doing your London stay. He also gave himself away with that handwritten note. I recognize the scroll as the same found on the catalog cards he uses for his insect collection.
Holmes, the police have stopped everyone on the mall.
A mere safety precaution. They'll pick up Jack Stapleton at the cottage and, judging by the sound of those whistles, Kathy has been apprehended.
Kathy? What does she have to do with this?
How could Stapleton possibly hope to claim the inheritance?
Any number of ways. He could travel to South America. establish identity before the British authorities there, or during the short time he would need to be in London, he could establish an elaborate identity, or he could hire an accomplice to impersonate him, retaining a claim on some portion of the income.
I was so afraid that she suspected me, I thought of burning the warning with my name on it.
I am the last and highest court of appeal in detection, and I exonerate you.
Bit pompous, Holmes.
So Kathy had no feelings for me.
If it's any consolation, Sir Henry, the most winning woman I ever knew was hanged for poisoning 3 little children for their inheritance money. Come, Watson. There's no time to waste if we're to catch that late train.
Now, this minute?
I received a most interesting message from Miss Hudson. A retired officer from the Palace Guard is being blackmailed by some devilishly clever ruse. I suspect an organized ring with connections in Detroit.
But my things, my clothes!
Lady Agatha, if you'd be so kind as to ensure that Perkins packs everything and sends it off to Baker Street.
First thing in the morning.
Come, Watson. The game is afoot.
This man has no mercy.
Come back anytime. You're always welcome.
Can we get another huge round of applause, please? I mean, what girls? Totally rolled with all the punches, and they did an amazing job. Very proud of all of you. This has been a really fun show to be able to put on. In director's note, if you saw, this was the very first show that I was involved in way back in 1997. And it's the show that kind of introduced me to the idea that there's more to theater than just acting. So in a lot of ways, I'm actually been standing here today because of the presence of the show in my life. So it's been really fun to revisit it, rethink it, and bring it all into a little bit more of a modern era. We have a few things that we always do on closing night, of course. We're going to start with some raffles, which is always very exciting. All right, so the very first raffle that we're going to start with is one of the most coveted of all possessions here at Grace School of Sioux Valley. A signed cast poster of Hound of the Baskervilles. Ooh! So if we could have the evilness herself, Miss Hernandez, step right on up. And if you could very evilly draw a ticket out for us, please. All right! Congratulations, Brooke. Very, very exciting. And then, of course, we have our beautiful gift basket with items donated for our booster club. We're so thankful for everything that our boosters do for us. Holmes, could you step right on up? And drum roll, please, everyone. Emily Vanderswag. Oh! But of course, also, it is our last show, and so we have a number of people that we want to thank. By the way, I would like to also mention, this is a true story, I was in New York over the summer, and I got to see the closing night of the Tony-winning revival of Parade, which was very fun for me. Huge deal. The guy who directed it won the Tony Award for directing. It won the Tony Award for Best Revival. He came out at the end of the show, pulled out his phone, and thanked a bunch of people, so I do not feel bad about this anymore. So, here we go. It's good enough for Tony Award winners. It's good enough for me. First of all, we want to thank all the parents and all the kids. Thank you so much for everything you do. We know this is a long week. There's going to be many late nights, really long hours, and we're just so thankful that you entrust your kids to this space and to being here. We want to thank our school administration. We are so thankful for all of you guys who support us. Just even allowing us to really think about these shows that we get to do and trusting us with these kids is a huge deal. We also want to really, especially this year, thank Grace Church for all they have done for us. The church put in a new light over this summer, and I don't know if you noticed all those lighting effects, but they were pretty cool. We first got on that board, we kind of played with it, but our first actual time using it was Monday. So from Monday to Wednesday, we had to learn a whole new system of lights, and it was, they've just been so accommodating in every way, so thank you so much to Grace Church. I also want to thank this cast specifically for rolling with all the technical punches tonight, so thank you guys very much for all of you here. We want to thank our incredible sound guy, Greg Burns, Greg has another show that he's doing in Vegas this week. He drove to Vegas Thursday morning at 4 a.m., flew back at 11 a.m. just so that he could be here this week with us. So, Greg, we are so thankful. Thank you so much for this. Darvick, who ran all of our decking, all of our curtains from, we're super thankful for them. And then, obviously, we also want to thank the papa of homes himself, Jeff Johnson, for all that he does for our video and making sure that he captures the music. Thank you very much, Jeff. And then, we also want to, we have some flowers for some people. We'd like to start with our incredible costumer, Kip. We know you're here, Kip. All right, here she comes. Kip has been, Kip came to us and was like, hey, can I have a costume? Yeah, that'd be so great. So she helps take care of everything backstage for us. She keeps everything organized, she keeps these kids, and she actually built this whole Hound costume on her own. We had a very, and her sister, of course, Kip, is always letting us know about everyone. And she is just absolutely pure gold of a human being. We love Kip. Thank you. We would like to thank, of course, our Booster Club, all of our Booster Club moms and dads who help us out. And Kim Johnson, who is, of course, the head of that. Kim took over this year and has just gone full gangbusters with everything, and it's been so fun. We're so appreciative of all of our parents, of everybody helping us out. So thank you, Booster Club. Thank you, Kim, for all that you do. It means the world to us to be able to fundraise and do all the things we need to. So thank you very much. I would like to call up Miss Lori Creer to the stage. You may remember Mrs. Creer from her show-stopping performance as Professor Willard in our town last year, or as one of our multiple nuns who fed street urchins in the museum. Lori has really just come alongside in the last couple of years, and she comes to me and she's like, hey, any way that I can help, which is just absolutely the most meaningful thing when you're working all these crazy hours and you're working with these kids, and have somebody just who loves them and cares about them and comes up and says hey, how can I help? And then she does it. So we have two casts for this show. So I would run with one cast in our rehearsal space, and then Lori's with the other cast outside. And she's been doing that now for so long. So we're just so thankful for everything that you did. Thank you very much, Mrs. Creer. I'd also like to thank the producer of our show, a very close personal friend and somebody that I've worked with for many years, but also somebody who I just very much value and treasure everything that she means to this department in our, like mine and Jen's life. So Christy and Pop, we're so thankful for you. We love you very much. And then, of course, last and certainly not even close to being is Christy Saunders. Christy is the fine arts assistant, but she's also like the fine arts like guru of everything. Like everything that we need, Christy's already done, and she did all of the girls' hair. Ooh. I think I can relate to in every possible way. The design, the maintenance, it's just a lot. It's a lot. So I get it, and I'm just so thankful. But Christy really does run literally. Jared suffered a horrific sports injury mere weeks ago playing dodgeball, playing kickball. For those of you that don't know Jared is like literally my right-hand guy there. He runs the entire lighting board. Jared is also like a stress absorption tool for whenever like things get really difficult and dangerous up there. And then Shauna is our stage manager extraordinaire for the show. So as we were trying to think like what to get these kiddos, we decided, because it is indeed a Sherlock Holmes, that we would get you all a lovely magnifying glass to take with you wherever you go. You can put it on a desk, you can put it on a shelf, you can read tiny, tiny print with it, and you're going to need that sooner than you think you are, because you're about to graduate, and life's going to get really challenging because you're about to be really old very quickly. So, but more than that, I said it before, but I just want to reiterate, this cast and this group of seniors especially really helped pull our entire department out of the COVID slump. They were so gung-ho for when we got back to school and we were able to do shows again. And I cannot thank them enough for just all that they did for me, for Mrs. Evanhoff, for our department, of just being so excited and so ready to do shows again. And I couldn't be prouder of each and every one of you. This is the week, I fret not lest it's spring. But I just love you guys. I'm so proud of all the work that you did, especially for this one. And it was so fun to watch you guys just have so much fun on stage. Because that's what this has always been about, and you guys have brought that every moment that you've been with us. So, love you guys very much. We're going to miss you a lot. But we'll save all the really good times for this spring. So if we give our seniors one more big round of applause.
All right, so I get to hand over the lovely cast photo to our director, Mr. Carter. And just so you guys know, like not only did he direct the show, but then he became a lighting designer during the show as well. And he also had to cover for me as I had a death in the family this week a little bit as well. So he had a lot on his plate, and therefore he just stepped up in every which way. And all of these kids, too, who just stepped forward in so many ways. I'm here just because you guys bring me joy right now. So I just thank you guys for bringing joy this week to my family as well. And that means the world to me. But this is something that we look at as teachers, that we keep on our wall. And we look at these things, and especially in COVID, we just sat there like, oh yeah, remember that? We used to do this, you know, and we watched the note from the kids, and it just means the world to us, even years and years later. So thank Mr. Carter and his wife, Mrs. Carter, who helps in every which way too. We're giving him a Red Bull, because that's what he does. Red Bull, against what I tell him about it, but he's very excited, and he's going to need it after this show, so here, I'm going to give this back to him.
All right, I wouldn't be here without my incredible wife, Jen, who just is the best support. She has a show coming up in 2 weeks at the elementary school, Jungle Book Kids, so make sure that you come and see that. And we're just starting our season. We have Christmas band shows, Christmas choir shows, which we're all very excited about, and then Godspell is our first ever musical revival, coming back in February and March of next year, so be sure to get your tickets to that. We're so thankful for everybody that's here. Thank you so much for your support of the arts here at Gray School, and we hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you for all that you do to support us in these efforts. So, have a good night.